stop. You think you know what heartbreak feels like. You think it's a sudden blow. No. Sometimes the deepest pain comes packaged neatly in a polite refusal. This Christmas, I didn't get a polite refusal. I got a direct order. We're doing Christmas at my mom's. You can stay home. 3 seconds. That's all it took for my daughter-in-law Hannah to erase me from the most important day of the year. 3 seconds to tell me that my life, my home, my presence were utterly inconvenient. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just smiled, a cold, empty smile that didn't reach my eyes, and said, "Oh, I see. That sounds nice. But let me tell you the truth. A truth you probably feel deep in your own bones. It wasn't about the turkey. It was about being erased. It was about that sudden, gut-wrenching realization that after 67 years of giving, of pouring my whole self into raising a family, I was standing completely outside the velvet rope of my own life. I am Linda Dawson, and this is the story of how being told to stay home became the spark for the bravest, most selfish, and most beautiful chapter of my life. You might think this story is about revenge, but it's not. It's about reclaiming your seat at the table of your own existence. The silence after the call was a physical thing. My house, the one filled with 40 years of memories, suddenly felt cold and echoing. I looked at the mantelpiece, already draped with the garlands I put up for them, and felt a heavy ache. I knew the truth about loneliness. It's not just about being alone. It's about feeling utterly unseen by the people who matter most. It's the whisper in your mind. Am I still worth something? My son, Mark, called later, his voice thick with that familiar modern guilt. Mom, I hope you're not upset. You know how Hannah's mom likes to host. I played the part every mother plays. Of course, sweetheart. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. But as I hung up, I looked out the window and watched the neighborhood children building snowmen. They had somewhere to belong. They had a tribe. And for that brief, painful moment, I felt like the outsider, the foreigner in my own story. I was surrounded by the stuff of life, but I wasn't truly living. This is where most stories end. The mother accepts her fate. She stays home, she cries. She waits for the half-hearted apology that will come a week later. But I remembered my Paul, my late husband. I could almost hear his deep voice teasing me. You always take care of everyone else, Linda. When will you do something for yourself? That night, something inside me snapped. It wasn't anger, it was dignity. It was the fierce protective instinct that said, I am worth more than a quiet kitchen. I went upstairs and found the old, dusty suitcase. It was the one Paul and I used for our only European trip. Paris, Rome, Vienna. I ran my hand over the worn leather, and the memory of his hand in mine was stronger than the silence of the house. He had always said, See, Linda, the world isn't as big as we think. You just have to be brave enough to step into it. And in that moment, I realized the full, crushing truth. My daughter-in-law hadn't excluded me. She had given me a golden ticket. She had handed me the one thing I hadn't given myself in 8 long years. Permission to be free. I sat down, pulled out my old, slow laptop, and typed, Christmas trips for senior women. The world was about to be surprised. The search results flashed on the screen. Sparkling lights, cozy Christmas markets, smiling travelers. I saw a tour, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, leaving in 3 days. My heart started to race. Not with fear, but with the electrifying thrum of life. It was crazy, it was impulsive, it was utterly contrarian, the opposite of everything the world expected of me. But a fierce, protective voice whispered inside me, Do it. Stop waiting for life to happen to you. Decide to live it. I filled out the form, entered the card details, and clicked Book Now. My hands shook. It was an act of radical self-love. It was a monumental, nonverbal rebellion to the quiet expectation that I should simply stay home and be sad. I told no one. Not Mark, not Hannah, not even my closest friend Martha. It wasn't done out of spite or hatred. It was done out of pure, unadulterated freedom. For once, this story belonged only to me. The next 2 days were a blur of nervous energy. I packed the old suitcase, tucked Paul's travel journal inside, and wore the little gold locket he gave me for our 20th anniversary. I felt like a spy. I was executing the ultimate reversal on my own life. When I stood at the airport, surrounded by noisy families and couples holding hands, the loneliness tried to sneak back in. The voice of my fear whispered, "You're alone, Linda. You're a fool." But I looked up at the departure board, took a deep breath, and replied firmly, "I am not alone. I am independent. And this year, my dignity is my travel companion." On the plane, I found my seat. Next to me sat a tall man with silver hair and kind, steady eyes. He looked at me and asked, "Headed home or headed out?" I smiled a genuine smile this time, one that felt like sunshine breaking through. "Heading somewhere new," I said. He chuckled softly. His name was David Monroe, a retired professor traveling alone after losing his wife. As we talked, something shifted. He listened without pity. He offered understanding, not sympathy. And he spoke about his own life with a quiet honesty that was utterly comforting. He was a symbol of the liberty I was seeking. Landing in Munich felt like stepping onto another planet. The air was cold, the streets were sparkling, and the scent of mulled wine and roasted chestnuts filled the air. It was beautiful, but the true doorway to truth opened later that night. David and I walked through the snowy streets to the hotel, and as the snow fell gently around us, a profound truth hit me. My daughter-in-law had told me to stay home because she thought I had nowhere else to go. She saw my empty chair. She saw my quiet house. But she hadn't seen the fire I still carried inside me. I looked up at the winter sky and whispered not to Paul, but to myself. I had the whole world waiting for me. I just needed to be brave enough to find the starting line. That night, I realized I was not a forgotten victim. I was a pioneer. I was a woman taking back her story, one expensive flight at a time. The pain of rejection had done its job. It had pushed me toward rebirth. Sister Cora here. We talked about shifting your internal language from passive acceptance to active power. But this needs to be implemented with the tonal anchor, the way you choose to sound when you speak your truth. When Linda spoke to Mark, her tone was calm but firm. It was a voice anchored in self-worth, not anger. Anger is a reaction. Dignity is a state of being. The voice of anger. High-pitched, rushed, focused on their mistakes. You shouldn't have left me out. This gives them the power to calm you down. The voice of dignity. Low, steady pace, focused on your choice. I chose to find my own home, one filled with warmth and kindness. This forces them to listen to your reasons, not your rage. Remember, the goal is not to win an argument. It is to dictate the terms of your emotional value. When you sound certain of your worth, others will stop questioning it. Linda's final act of forgiveness to Hannah was not a weakness. It was a demonstration of overwhelming strength. She said, "Hannah, we all make mistakes. Family isn't about perfection. It's about forgiveness." Why is this a power move? Because she forgave Hannah after she had secured her own happiness. The forgiveness was offered from a position of freedom and independence, not from a position of needing them back. Forgiveness from pain means you need them to feel better. Forgiveness from power means you release them from your emotional prison because you have already set yourself free. This is the ultimate example of reclaiming your dignity. You don't need an apology to heal. You heal, and then the apology becomes meaningless compared to the joy you've already found. The narrative of your life switches from tragic past to triumphant present. Let's address the David factor, the handsome retired professor who recognized Linda from her past. Many viewers focus on the romance, but the deeper insight is this. You find what you seek when you stop chasing what avoids you. Linda wasn't looking for a man. She was looking for joy. David was the universe's miracle, the gentle, kind reward for her courage. He represented the return of her long-lost sense of being truly seen. He wasn't a replacement for Paul. He was a mirror reflecting Linda's newfound worth. He anchored her in the present and validated her choice of self-love. This is the promise for you. When you begin living your life fully, the universe will send you people and opportunities who match your new, high-vibrational energy. Before you can book your own metaphorical flight, you must acknowledge the emotional chains holding you back. The problem? The pain point. What are you doing right now that makes you feel stuck or hopeless? Is it a thankless job? Is it a difficult relative? Is it simply the expectation that you should always be available? The agitation, digging deep. Name the feeling. Is it fear, regret, or exhaustion? Linda felt forgotten. What do you feel? The solution. The fix. Just as Linda bought a flight, you need to buy yourself time and space. Block out 1 hour a day, every day, that is non-negotiable. This hour is for renewal, for a new language, a garden, or quiet reading. This hour is your declaration of independence. This is the practical step to ensure your freedom is sustainable. Linda's freedom wasn't just emotional, it was facilitated by financial capability. The trap. Being financially dependent, even slightly, can compromise your emotional freedom. The fund. Start a small, specific savings account, the Flight of Dignity Fund. This fund is not for emergencies or gifts. It is strictly for investing in yourself, a solo trip, a class, a new hobby that excites you. The power. Knowing you have the financial power to walk away from any situation that disrespects you is the greatest form of security. It gives your voice the anchor of certainty. It's your guarantee that you can always transform. Don't wait for New Year's Day. Your rebirth starts now. The old resolution. I will try to make my family happy. The new resolution, the final toast. I will commit to my own joy and I will be the host of my own life. The action. Create a personal board of dreams. Not goals about money or weight loss, but goals about experience and connection. Where will you travel? What new person will you become? Linda's journey ended not with an apology, but with a toast of self-governance. Your life story is a gift. Don't let someone else write the ending. We have spent 27 minutes walking through Linda's story. But the real story is just beginning. The one where you are the protagonist. Remember the paradox. The greatest disappointment can be your greatest liberation. Linda was disappointed, yes, but that disappointment freed her from the expectations that had held her captive for 8 years. She chose to burn the script and construct a new one. This isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. To be a loving, supportive mother or grandmother, you must first be a woman who is fulfilled and free. We are often told that the golden years are for quiet reflection and gentle rest. I disagree. The golden years are for bold years. This is the time for the trip you always postponed. This is the time for the voice you always silenced. This is the time to embrace the new, the terrifying, the exhilarating. You have earned the right to be unapologetically, brilliantly, you. Linda taught her family more by leaving than she ever did by staying. She taught Mark and Hannah the hard lesson that love is not a guarantee. It is something that must be earned and respected. She taught her grandchildren that life is an adventure and that old age is not a period of decline, but a period of profound possibility. Your most powerful legacy is not the possessions you leave behind. It is the example of a life fully lived. When life tells you to stay home, go find your own adventure. You might just find yourself along the way. If Linda's story spoke to the quiet, fierce part of your heart, the part that knows you deserve more, then I want you to do 3 things right now. Hit the like button to declare your own liberty and show the algorithm that stories of reclaiming independence matter. Comment below. What is the one small, brave thing you will do for yourself this holiday season? Will you finally take that class? Will you call that old friend? Will you book the flight? Subscribe to Aunt Cora's Porch Stories so you never forget that your worth is absolute and your story is still being written. Let's dissect the core pain one last time. Why does being told stay home hurt more than a direct insult? It is the pain of despair. It suggests you are a given, a piece of furniture they can move aside. The core injury. The implicit message is, your needs are secondary and your presence is disposable. The emotional reaction. The desire to become indispensable again. Linda's response was brilliant because she didn't try to become indispensable to them. She became indispensable to herself. She declared, "My time is valuable, my happiness is non-negotiable." The greatest revenge is not seeing them suffer. It is seeing them envy your joy. When Mark and Hannah saw the picture from Vienna, their primary emotion wasn't guilt. It was curiosity activation and fear of missing out, FOMO. The old dynamic. They were the hosts. Linda was the supplicant. The new dynamic. Linda became the source of excitement. They were the ones suddenly asking, "Who is that man? Where are you? What are we missing?" By choosing her own adventure, Linda instantly reversed the power dynamic. She became the subject of their conversation and envy, not their pity. This is the ultimate reversal we are looking for. When Linda returned, the house felt warm and alive. This is the final truth of the story. The warmth wasn't from the returning family. It was from the peace, independence, and quiet joy Linda had brought back with her. She had found a new version of home inside her own heart. This is the power of self-reclamation. You don't need a grand apology or a new man to find happiness. You just need to choose your own flight, and your dawn will follow. You don't need to book a flight to Vienna immediately. Start with 3 small acts of autonomy tomorrow. The no-guilt hour. Tomorrow, block out 60 minutes for yourself. No calls, no chores, no excuses. Read that book, take that walk, or just sit in silence. This is your personal sanctuary. The flight fund transfer. Transfer a small amount, $5, $10, $20, into a new, separate savings account. Name it the Flight of Dignity. This is the seed money for your next great adventure, symbolizing your financial independence. The Dignity Call practice. Practice Linda's key phrase in the mirror. I choose my happiness. My time is valuable. This prepares you to speak with the tone of certainty. Linda's family eventually realized her worth, but she didn't wait for them. She understood that the greatest gift you can give your children is not your sacrifice, but the example of a mother who knows her own value. Your life is a beautiful work of art. Don't let it gather dust in a quiet corner. Choose the flight. Choose the joy. Choose yourself. The man sitting next to her, David, was simply the gentle, kind reward for her courage. This year, make the choice. Start the fund. Choose the flight. This is the final blueprint for setting up the Flight of Dignity Fund. The purpose. This money is solely dedicated to self-investment. A trip, a passion project, or a class that brings you joy. It is the concrete symbol of your right to choose happiness. The rule. It must be untouchable for daily expenses. It is your savior against the emotional blackmail of financial dependence. The no-guilt tax. Calculate how much you spend each week on unnecessary convenience, fast food, small impulse buys. Redirect 50% of that money straight into your dignity fund. This is money you were spending anyway. The sell the clutter method. Look around your house. What items are gathering dust and symbolizing old expectations? Sell them. Every old dress, every unused gadget is a small deposit into your dignity fund. Turn clutter into freedom. The digital skill deposit. Dedicate 30 minutes a day to learning a simple digital skill, like photo editing, basic coding, or digital art. This not only builds confidence, but opens small avenues for generating side income, all of which goes straight into the fund. The Flight of Dignity Fund isn't about the amount of money. It's about the strength it represents. It is the peace of mind knowing that if any situation or person threatens your dignity, you have the means to walk away and fly toward your own joy. This year, make the choice. Start the fund. Choose the flight. The most significant journey is the one inward. It is about finding the faith that your life still holds value, purpose, and grace. The final message: the anchor of faith. The true rebirth comes not from being needed, but from being utterly whole on your own. Her journey wasn't about escaping her family. It was about escaping the version of herself that lived for their approval. The final declaration of independence. The ultimate legacy. Teaching through example. Your life is a story. And this year you get to choose the climax. Will it be a moment of quiet resignation? Or will it be your own flight of dignity? The choice is yours. And I, Sister Cora, am here to tell you that you are worthy of a magnificent, joyful second chance. If Linda's story spoke to the quiet, fierce part of your heart, the part that knows you deserve more, then I want you to do 3 things right now. Hit the like button to declare your own liberty and show the algorithm that stories of reclaiming independence matter. Comment below. What is the one small, brave thing you will do for yourself this holiday season? Will you finally take that class? Will you call that old friend? Will you book the flight? Subscribe to Aunt Cora's Porch Stories so you never forget that your worth is absolute and your story is still being written. The grand resolution. Your flight of dignity. The kindness of fate. Exploring the connection. David's lesson. The mentor of courage. The power of the reverse toast. The linguistic anchor. The last sentence. The final Sister Cora charge. The final charge and outro.